Day at Hey Tavis, a very great victory for Jewish books, and I could explain to another time. Right now, because it's a great victory for Jewish books, we'll learn something out of a Jewish book. The book we're learning from right now is Tanya, Shar HaYichud B'Emunah. This is a very important book in Chassidus, and so we'll learn it. I'm going to learn it inside, and then we'll ad lib, and we'll say a little bit outside. Okay, all right. So this talks about faith in God. This is a foundational idea of faith in God, in Hashem. Shara Yichud Emunah. We're holding a Tanya page 152. Lahavin ma'at miz'er masha kosuv b'zayar d'shma Yisrael chulu yichudi lo v'ech shen kved malchus elin levad yichudi hatah. In order to understand a little bit what it says in Zayar, that the verse that we say, all Jews say this verse, we say the pasuk Shema Yisrael, we cover our eyes twice a day, we cover our eyes and we say Shema. So when we say Shema, the word Shema, we are accomplishing a certain service of Hashem that is nicknamed, is called Yichuda Ilah. We'll explain what that means. And when we say Baruch Shem, we're working on a certain avodah called Yichudei Tata. This guy. Sorry. All right. Okay. So what's Yichudei Ilah? Yichudei Ilah is basically a focus of the mind. When we're saying Shema, we cover our eyes. What are we thinking about? Covering our eyes. What are we thinking? So when we're thinking Shema Yisrael, we're deliberately covering our eyes and we're looking above. Shema is known to be a Rosh Tevis for the words Su'umarim Anechem. Lift up your eyes above. And what we're supposed to do in that time is focus out, zone out from the world that we are in, and a little bit think about beyond ourselves. And when we're covering eyes, what we're saying is that we're going to focus on what we don't see with our eyes, but more we're going to our imagination. Now, when I say imagination, it doesn't mean imagination like fantasy imagination. It's visualizing what our brain could visualize, what we understand, but we can't see with our eyes. Like, for example, let's say if we want to visualize your location, you want to visualize your location here where you are. So you're in the house you are, or wherever you are, and you're in a room, and your room has walls. So maybe you can see out the window, but you're limited. You can't see the front or the backyard or the other street or the neighbors. You could visualize in your head, and you're not fantasizing, you're not making up that those things exist. They exist. You know they exist. You've seen with your eyes, right? There's also ideas further than that, like logic, that we understand. For example, let's say we understand what's on the far side of the moon. So if we would have a discussion with somebody what's on the far side of the moon, you'd never seen the far side of the moon, you were never there. Your eyes never saw it, right? Or other things, being in a country that you never visualized, or something beyond, or the planetary movements, or things that we understand, but we can't see with our eyes. And so part of our foundational service of Hashem is twice daily to say Shema Yisrael and to unify Hashem in a higher way, which means to think unify means unify with our understanding, the unification of Hashem, how Hashem is higher than what our minds could, what our minds could grasp. Yeah. Okay, so that's what, in very, very short, brief, what the idea of Yichud Elah is. When we cover our eyes, we're going to be thinking other thoughts that are a whole process of thinking that are outside of what we see. That's what Shema Yisrael is dedicated to. And what's Baruch Shem? It says in Zohar, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus. When we say Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Elel with our eyes open, right? We don't keep our eyes covered. We uncover our eyes. Over there, we're thinking how we're trying to see the energies, how Hashem is giving energy to this world, the physical world that's in front of us. That's what we experience, the world that we experience. Okay. So in order to all understand this, starts at Tanya, and this is the page. Okay. Perek Aleph, Yadata Hayom B'Shavos Elu Avecha. So, in order to understand this, we have to think about this series of thoughts. So, there's a verse in Torah that says that Moshe Rabbeinu told the Yidden, he told Jewish people, V'yadatu hayom, you should know today, v'hashivoisa, and you should bring it from Eschanan. When Moshe Rabbeinu was telling the Jewish people how much he pleaded from Hashem to forgive them, right? And he's speaking to them. So he says to them, V'yadatu hayom, you should know today, v'hashivoisa elu and you should bring it to your heart. So we're being asked to know something, and we're being asked to take something to heart. What is that? Ki, that Hashem, Hu Ho'elikim, that the name of Hashem, that Hashem, Yud, K, Vav, K, He is Ho'elikim, He is Elokim, Bashamayim Imal, in the heavens above, Val Aretz Mitachas, on the earth below, Ein Oid, and there's none other. So this is something that Moshe Rabbeinu tells us in the Torah that we have to accomplish this, v'yadata. Now this idea of v'yadata is very fundamental, really, and it's not really understood by many people, and a lot of times it's taken for granted. Like, do you believe in God? Yes. Do you know there's a God? Yes. And people think that v'yadata, if we say, I believe in God, I know there's God, that we're yaitza with that we accomplished our obligation. And it's not so. V'yadata means you should know Hashem. Knowing is something, like, for example, knowing is when you know something for a fact. When you know somebody, like, do you know who your family members are? Your sisters and brothers. And you know a lot more about them. Not just say I know who they are, but rather you could describe them. You have an understanding, a sense. That is the idea of knowing. So v'yadatu hayom, you should know today, and so much so, you should also have emotional response in your heart, which means to have emotional response about Hashem. So God willing, the next time we learn, we'll continue from here, and this is just the beginning. We wanted to start on this very special day, Hey Tevis, the 5th of Tevis in the Hebrew calendar, very special day. And Be'ezus Hashem, God's help, we're going to continue. And anyone who's interested should make a note, try to communicate. There's different ways, you guys know, whichever platform you are, to communicate that you want it, you're interested, and you have questions on this or whatever it is. Try to communicate, and God should help us to be successful, to learn this, and to learn a lot, and to connect to God through the Holy Torah, and to uplift ourselves. Looking forward. Mitzvah Hashem.